It is the end of 2018. Series 11 is coming to a close. Chibnall and all his little friends have shown their hand, and the internet is busy bickering. Are the ratings going down? Are they going up? And who benefits from perpetuating lies anyway? Well, we're not here to talk about Whittaker today. Whilst all you guys are thinking about Series 11, let's talk about what's really on everybody's mind. The Master. Shit, really? As of late July 2017, the Master is believed to be dead, deceased, but if there's one thing we've learned about this character in pop culture at large, is that the Master does not die. This character has an almost infuriating, nonsensical manner of coming back however and whenever he/she feels like it. Teleport, magic, science, body snatching, voodoo, and my favourite, plot. The Master doesn't even need an excuse anymore, it's just accepted. In 2007, we burned his body on a pyre, we watched him die. Last of Time Lords my ass. In 1973, the man who made the role himself died in a tragic accident. And lo and behold, a decade later, he's back as a corpse. Oh god, that's morbid. This character is truly unkillable. He's simply too iconic to go away. So, to distract myself from the other videos I'm working on, videos that require me to read this little joy, seriously, I'll take any distraction I can get. Today, let's focus on the Master, because when you remove the Doctor from the picture and just focus in on this weird character, his plans are more than questionable. I heard you guys like controversial opinions, so here's one more for you. The Master is the lamest recurring villain in Doctor Who. Oh yeah, here it comes the bandwagon. Woo! Originally introduced as the Doctor's counterpart, he's part Moriarty, part Bond villain. But like a classic, cliché Bond villain. The idea of the Master is a goofy 70s concept that normally would have been left for the passage of time, like the meddling monk or the Chumblies. And yet, the character is simply too iconic to get rid of. He survives by piggybacking off some great performances and riding the show's mythology. But never forget, from the disguises, the cape, the beard, the monologues, he is a pantomime villain. He is a theatrical, stereotypical villain who has attracted some of the best acting talent in this country. Don't think for 1 second I'm bashing Delgado or Ainsley, or even John Sim. There has not been one bad performance put to this character's name. Except maybe, Eric Roberts. Sorry, not sorry. The Master is back! Now, Moffat did the Master a big favour via Missy, indicating that she's actually cool and capable on her many own travels. She doesn't need the Doctor, when the actual canon reality of it is that, yeah, the Master is pretty goddamn hapless. If you remove the Doctor from the equation, the Master's life seems to be pretty desperate and pathetic, and his plans are questionable at best. Let's go back to the character's introduction. Terror of the Autons is a stellar story. What is this Master's plan? Command an invasion of Earth, distributing an army via the material that a culture uses. Boom! Solid plan. How does it go? Not great. It's simple, intelligent, and probably would have worked if the Doctor had not been there. This is a smart, calculating man. Now let's focus on his last classic appearance. Survival. What's the plan, Master? Well, on this one, the Master's just found himself stranded on a planet of feral cat people. So already, not a good start. He's making the best out of a bad hand. The Master integrates himself into their society, bringing them human teenagers from one specific street in rural 1980s London. Right. How's he do this? Oh, well, with his dimension-jumping black house cat, of course. Camped out in his new cozy cat tent, the Master, now with fangs, tames a local punk called Midge and rides him as an escape back to Earth. Now, in a flat in Perivale, the Master gives Midge a new killer look and recruits him a new army of local youth club teenagers. Yes, now I can rule the world with a bunch of greasers. And his final plan to defeat the Doctor with a motorbike jousting contest. It doesn't work. Now see, that's a poor villain plan. It's uncoordinated, it's messy, he seems to be making up as he goes along, And most of all, he's a bad boy. You could retitle this episode, The Master Starts a Gang. Frankly, he's too old for it. This gets a D. I rank this D. Let's go for another. Keeper of Traken. The Master, now a skeleton, parks in a garden and pretends to be a statue for decades. To his luck, the residents attach an overly close friendship to the inert statue, and the Master invades Traken government. Or, he doesn't, his TARDIS does. It doesn't work. But hey, at least the Master gets an upgrade. Whew.
A new body. At last.
Anthony Ainsley is a joy. Keeper of Traken is my favourite Doctor Who story that I can't remember anything about. I forget. Every time. This one I'm gonna give a C. It's inoffensive, but also relies on the stupidity of everybody around him. It's kind of a plan that happens without him even having to get out of his seat. But technically, this is a victory. You want to talk convoluted? Hey, remember that time the Master rigged an election?
Here come the drums!
Alright, this is it. This is the craziest one. The Master wipes his memory, becomes human, and hides away at the end of the universe, of all places. Which, to me, sounds like a bad idea anyway. Upon blind luck, the Doctor arrives, finds him in a huge human colony, and happens to reawaken his memory. That was lucky. Stealing his TARDIS, the Master arrives in 2000's England. The Master starts a political campaign, goes into business with Lazarus, sets up a psychic satellite grid, and secret police. He turned the TARDIS into a paradox machine, however one does that. Gets married to someone in like a real relationship. Like, this guy's been here a while and building a career in politics. As disguises go, that one's pretty intense. Usually he just pulled off a mask. Oh, and then there's the entire part where he re-engineers humanity into killing itself. Huh, that sounds like a busy year. Now all that might seem like overkill, but it actually works for him for a hot minute. For a hot year. God, these were weird, Russell. Now, although this iteration of the Master might need some Prozac, this is definitely the most high-stakes Master story we've ever seen. Scissor Sisters and all. I think how convoluted his plot is part of the fun. But this does read like a convoluted plan made by somebody who is actually crazy. I would give it a B+, but then I remembered how the Doctor just presses a button and undoes his years of hard work. So that's a D. Oh, you thought that was embarrassing? Let's jump to 2017. The Doctor falls. What does the Master do in this story? Nothing. 2 Masters and not one good idea between them. Whoa, a multi-Master story? But then the 2 of them just bum around the episode like irrelevant spare parts. Sim's Master crashes the TARDIS, lazily installs himself as king of a rusty spaceship, gets overthrown, and lurks around a hospital working full-time as a mole man janitor for decades. Man, they didn't even need the Doctor for this one. The fact that he even stumbles across one of the Doctor's companions is a massive coincidence. But yeah, the impoverished, desperate human race literally just throws him out. Insane. John Sim's Master is a dweeb! Say what you like about Missy, but at least Moffat gave the Master some long-needed dignity. Some people really like this story. I think it fails at least as a Master episode. Moffat's sudden decision to make Missy good was super unearned. On paper, the idea isn't that bad, as Missy is the most mature incarnation we've seen yet. But I wish Moffat had veered into the idea that she isn't the Doctor, but she's also not the Master anymore. She's her own beast, and what's the point of self-preservation if you're gonna keep ending up getting killed time and time again? Moffat doesn't really elaborate on any of that. She's just good now. As supervillain plans go, this isn't one, so I give it an F. That guyliner though. Master of the Daleks. Okay, this plan is about as awful as it sounds. The McQueen Master managed to forge an alliance with the Daleks, given his own personal army of screamy gold boys. The McQueen Master just seems to smugly pride in this fact until the story is over. Now, this is a great episode on a good box set of Dalek, Sontaran space opera. It's just this obviously wasn't going to work out for you, bud. Surprise, surprise, the Daleks don't take orders, and they obviously don't have allies when their goal is to destroy every other life form. It's even funny when the Master couldn't even manage the Draconians, Ogrons, or Axons. What makes him think he can control the Dalek time controller? It's beyond me. For a smart guy, the Master is really, really stupid. This one really does deserve a listen though, even just for McQueen's great dialogue. This is the campest and most likeable iteration of a character ever. He also is a bumder. And for the last one, there's so many I could pick. There's Destiny of the Doctors, a PC video game where you walk around locations and collect doctor pieces to defeat the Master, who now has a car. You do you, Ainsley. I ain't gonna play it. Unit Dominion. The Master arrives at unit headquarters and pretends to be a new incarnation of the Doctor to infiltrate their base. Honestly, this is a really funny and lame villain plan, but oddly it works a lot better than most of the schemes on this list. And then there's the End of Time, and we don't talk about the End of Time. No, for the final pick, let's talk about Death in Heaven. Okay, this one's wild. What is Missy's first plan of action against a new Doctor? Well, she mysteriously links the previous guy together with a childminder from Blackpool. She does this in the hope that Clara is slightly bossy and maybe backstabs the Doctor by throwing away his TARDIS keys, an event that nobody could have possibly predicted. Then, Missy steals Time Lord technology, travels to the beginning of human civilization, and uploads the soul, like actual human souls, to a digital matrix called the Neversphere, giving her power over every single human in history to be buried. This includes Danny, the Brigadier, Amy, Rory, and every other companion revived as sentient reanimated zombies in Cybermen armor. Insane. Missy installs herself in St. Paul's Cathedral and gets nice and cozy in middle management, having one-on-one meetings with the recently deceased. Then she releases Cyber Pollen to create a comedically large undead army of Cybermen. From here, the plan is purposely get captured, kill some of the Doctor's friends, only to then give him the Cybermen army as a birthday gift. Missy hopes that he will use them to create a super cyber justice force to keep the galaxy a safe place. The Doctor obviously declines. That is a lot of prep work for what is essentially a cheap practical joke. Wait a minute, if you were trying to stay in his good books, why did you kill Oswin? Why do we never address the desecration of every single person the Doctor has ever loved? Why does the Brigadier Cyberman not leave the planet with everybody else? This might just be the weirdest one ever seen in the series. It's a pretty poorly thought out plan, but it's very theatrical. It's hilarious how the Doctor just awkwardly shrugs off her genius master plan. No thank you. In what world, in what incarnation would the Doctor ever have accepted that offer? I grade this an E, and an E is a fail. I get that some of the Master's charm is how useless he is, but that then becomes an issue when I'm expected to take him seriously. This is a guy who doesn't really seem to plan, especially the new series ones. They just fall into a bad situation or literally crash the TARDIS and then just make up some supervillain plot on the fly. I love cowardly, self-preservational characters, and yet the Master doesn't really stick as a favourite to my adult sensibilities. But even then, I can't deny the crucial contribution this character has had to this series. For example, I could not point to you my favourite iteration of the Master, from Mary Poppins to Count Dracula, the Chorizo Master to the Bumder Master. I do like them all. They're all so unique and distinct in their own roles that it's impossible to pick a favourite. Thank you for watching. Let me know your favourite Master story. Except the story called Master, because, you know, obvious. Looks like I'm back to the drawing board with Warriors of the Deep. Don't say I never did anything for you.